Welcome to the Fluency First podcast. I'm Dave, and today's guest is my Uncle Ian from Newcastle in the northeast. So you will hear a Geordie accent, right? One of the best known accents in the UK. He has made it a bit easier for you to understand, but it still sounds brilliant. We talk about the Geordie way of speaking, the history of the area, where to visit, hobbies, and life in the northeast. Now, there are lots of really interesting new words and phrases for you to learn. So don't rush. Slow down, take your time, maybe listen to it in smaller parts and enjoy the journey. It's a really great chat, everyone. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, let's start the podcast. I'm here with my Uncle Ian. Hi, Ian.
Hello there, David. Nephew David.
Yeah. As many of you know, we start the podcast with small talk. So that's like general topics, conversations about how you're doing and the weather and stuff like that. So Ian, first of all, thank you very much for doing this.
No, you're more than welcome. Yeah, pleasure.
And it's funny, you also happen to have the same name as my dad.
Well, that's true, yes. It seems to have been a very popular name back in at that particular time.
But you're known to my family as Big Ian.
Big Ian, yes. Well, funnily enough, at work, there was another Ian I worked with, and he was Little Ian, and I was Big Ian. So it just...
So you've always been Big.
I've always been a Big Ian somewhere or other.
I'm fortunate enough to not be Little David so far. So how are you doing today?
Well, I'm fine, yes. It's a lovely day. The sun's out, the sky's blue, and there's...
Yeah. Where we're filming at Ian and my Auntie Lorraine's house, and they have this amazing view that we can see. I will show it to you now on screen. So this is our view while we do this interview. So my next question's, what's keeping you busy recently? What's been keeping you busy?
What's been keeping me busy? Just various things. I seem to spend an inordinate amount of time just sitting watching the birds feeding in the garden, but also, like to sit and play guitar. I've been going out for a few motorcycle rides with friends and things, and so yeah.
Do you have a lot of motorcycle friends nearby?
Not particularly nearby, in Newcastle, where I grew up. Yeah, no, there's still the same friends I've had since I was 16, 17.
And they all ride?
They all still ride, yes.
That's amazing. Yeah. Do they all have, you have Triumphs.
Yeah.
But do they all have, is it like a Triumph?
No. In the past, I was the only one who had a Triumph.
Oh.
And the rest of them all were on Italian or Japanese bikes. Okay. But over the years, I've managed to get them all. And most of them now actually do ride Triumphs, yeah.
Were they all on, like, what is it, Kawasaki?
Kawasaki, Honda, Yamaha, and Ducati.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Ducatis are fast.
Well, they are, yes.
Anyway, well, let's go into some of the main questions of your interview.
Yeah.
So it's about your background. So where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up, I was born 7 miles that way. And I grew up predominantly 7 miles that way, so I'm almost slap bang in the middle. So I was born in Corbridge. I grew up in a part of what is Newcastle now called Leamington, which was right on the city edge, but was originally part of Northumberland, but is now, since the creation of the metropolitan boroughs in the 1970s, has become part of the city of Newcastle. So that's where my father still lives there.
Oh, right.
In the house that we moved into in 1966.
Goodness.
Yes.
So what was it like in your part of Newcastle as a kid?
Well, it would probably be classed as semi-rural because we were right on the edge of the city, and it hadn't expanded to the point it has now, where sort of new housing estates have come past. Before, where we were on an isolated corner where we had fields still under cultivation above us and to the side of us. We also had the remains of what was an old pit, was right next to where we lived. It was the Percy pit, and the pit heap was still there, which we used to play on, which was great. In the winter, you could sledge down it, and we had all the spoil heaps had grown over, so nature had reclaimed a lot of it. So it was the life's. It was rural. It was almost rural.
Yeah.
I only had to step over the road, and I was out in the open countryside.
Yet you were also close enough to go into Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, I used to go as a child. I used to go in, which you could do in those days. It's strange now. You would never think of it now. As sort of a 8-year-old, I would hop on the bus. And I would go to St James's Park on a Saturday, and then sneak into the ground without paying to watch Newcastle play. Yeah, but interestingly, I mean, where we lived was right next to what's known as an inclined plane, which is a railway track, which I think is particular to the northeast, where the steam trains used to bring coal from the colliery up at Callerton to Blutcher to the top of this hill, where the trucks would be unhitched from the steam train, connected to a steel cable, and then sent off down the hill. They would pull the empty trucks back up. The full ones would go down, be unhitched and taken away. This went on all day. So we had, right next to our house, we had this double railway line with trucks running up and down the whole time. And one of the games we used to play was running in between the trucks before they crossed. So,
Did you always feel a strong connection to the northeast?
Without a doubt, yeah.
Even when you were young?
Oh, yeah. It was, probably that came from my grandparents, certainly my maternal grandparents. My granddad was a staunch Newcastle supporter. And my grandmother, my nana, the pit that I talked about had a row of colliery houses, which were
Can you explain that?
We called them the pit rows. There were a row of terraced houses which accommodated the miners, and that's where my grandmother was born. Wow. She was born in those houses. Wow. So I had a deep connection with that area, but it was always instilled in me, that what the northeast was, in their eyes, a special place. My granddad, my maternal granddad, he loved being out in the country, and we often used to go to a place called Sparty Lee up in the Pennines. We used to go camping there, and his tiny little, I don't know, it was like a bullnose Morris or something like that. It was just a little car.
Yeah, so let's talk about accent. Maybe you have noticed that he has a slightly different accent than you're used to. In English language books and audio things, like, class books and CDs and whatnot, the voices are very specific. Mm-hmm. And many learners come to the UK and just don't understand anyone because they've never heard it. So that was one of the ideas with this podcast. So I want to say, how would you describe your accent?
Specifically, my accent's more of a Geordie accent than Northumbrian. But in this part of the world, there are several different accents which probably sound very similar to people from outside of the area. But mine is probably specifically a north of the Tyne Geordie accent. Mm-hmm.
Do you think your accent has changed over the years?
Yes, certainly mine has. I mean, I do. I can feel that I'm moderating it now.
Now, okay.
Because normally I wouldn't pronounce ing on the end of a word.
Right.
It would always be clipped as ing.
Okay.
But when I'm talking in situations like this, that phrase, when I'm talking in situations like this, if I was when I'm talking in a situation like this, it would be more sing-songy, you know, and I'd use the word talking instead of talking.
Wow. And like words like town, you would say...
I would say tune.
Tune.
Right.
Other words, what would you say, like na or ni for no? Like you need bother.
Nah. No, need bother when it comes to that, when you're no bother. But if you want to say it as in the negative sense, you would just say nah.
Nah.
Okay. Or if you want to say there's no chance, there's no chance of that happening.
There's no chance.
No chance. Which there again, if you think about it, sort of sounds very much like the Scots vernacular, where they would say there's no chance.
Yeah.
There's lots of words because we're so close to the Scottish border. Yeah. There's been a lot of interaction with the Scots, so a lot of the words are similar.
Yeah.
And the Anglian kingdom of Northumbria extended right up to Edinburgh at one time anyway, so...
I'll ask you questions about that, about the kingdom of Northumbria and the Border Reivers. We'll talk about that later. But yeah, so we talk about the Geordie accent, but it's also a dialect. It has dialect words.
Without a doubt, yes.
Which means vocabulary and grammar. So, for example, I wrote down some phrases, but I'm a bit embarrassed to actually say them. But you taught me the other day. It's something like I'm ganyem.
I'm ganyem.
I'm ganyem.
I'm ganyem.
There you go. I'm ganyem. What do you think that means at home, everyone? I'm ganyem. Would you like to tell everyone?
It means I'm going home.
I'm going home. Really quickly, guys, if you want to make the most of this episode, then use the interactive transcripts, the flashcards, the vocabulary list, maybe even the 5-part workbook that I made. It's all on my Patreon page. There's also a free version of the vocab list for free Patreon members. Tier 1 members get lots of other extras like story episode materials, early access to videos, and much more. You can also join our friendly Discord group, meet other amazing learners, and take part in special events there too. It costs about the same as a coffee or a beer each month, and it really is the best way to support the channel while improving your English faster. All right, let's get back to the podcast. Another one, canny is a lot.
Canny can mean a lot of things.
What does canny mean?
Fully enough, canny, if you get closer to the border, canny means sort of thrifty and, a bit like that. But whereas canny now, I think the meaning's changed. It means you're all right.
Like, all right, good or something.
How you doing? I'm doing canny.
Yeah.
I'm canny man. Like you get people passing in the street, you'll say, "You all right? Yeah, canny man," and then you would just pass on by.
God. And do you say? I'm embarrassed to say this, guys. But anyway, way
I
man. There you go. What does that mean?
That's just affirmative. Yes. Yeah. Great.
Right.
Yeah. It's like I don't want to introduce this, but it's like German where you have yes as ja, or you have an emphatic version which is jawohl, and yi is yi man.
Interesting. And do you use the word hinny?
Aye.
What does hinny mean?
It's just a familiar term.
Is it like an affectionate term?
Yes, it's a term of affection, yeah.
And is it to, like, can you say it to men and women?
Yes, aye.
Oh, okay.
Older generation, they will apply it to men and women. I think the younger generation are now a bit shy of calling a male associate hinny.
Because but that's similar to Yorkshire, but in that we use the word love and duck.
Aye.
And and older men would probably use that, but younger guys won't.
And pet, I mean, it sounds, it's normally used as a in conjunction with women, and it sounds awfully chauvinistic, but it's not meant that way. It is literally just a term of endearment.
Yeah.
You know, Yari pet.
Yeah.
You know,
Interesting. Other words, I've got champion.
Champion, aye.
How is that still used?
It's you do hear it quite a bit. I say.
Okay, so champion means something different.
Well,
what does it mean?
It can mean, you know, there again you'll say how are you doing, or how are you doing, and you say hi champion.
Really?
Which just means good. Yeah, great. Okay. You know, people nowadays, when you hear people, kids talk, and they'll say, "How are you doing?" And say, oh, I'm good. Which, you know, is exactly the same. You just back then you would say, "Oh, champion."
I want you to know these words, not to start becoming like a Geordie, but so you understand people and understand words when you come to Newcastle, for example. You say Newcastle differently.
Newcastle.
Yeah, I can't seem to do it. Newcastle. Anyway,
it's almost pronounced with a Y after the N. Newcastle.
Ah.
It's the same with yem. The word yem is written down as HYEM because people will pronounce it as yem.
Yeah, right.
Which then sort of makes it is sort of like akin to the Scottish word as well, which is hame for home. So
interesting.
They've probably got the same root.
Okay, let's move on to the main topic. Although that did feel like the main topic. So, but on my notebook it says main topic. I went for a walk with you the other day, and he was telling me, you know, the name of every plant, bird, and tree, and you're so knowledgeable when it comes to nature. You've even planted a lot of trees down there, and you know, you're looking after the land. So my question is, well, I've got a few questions, but you also love birds.
I do indeed, yes.
And you got me into that bird app, Merlin.
Yeah.
So this is a bird app where you can listen to the sound of the birds, and it identifies the birds. And my entire family and friends have this app now, and we are all competing with each other, trying to see who we can get on our list. But anyway, so do you think nature has been important for your well-being?
Oh, without a doubt. The relaxation, just sort of emptying your mind, just going for a walk. And that's why I've always, I could never live in a city, in a built-up area again. I just don't think I could survive, because I have to be close to nature.
I think I'm similar in a way, actually, because I was living in Bangkok for some time. It was just so busy.
Yes.
You know.
I mean, originally when we first moved in, the garden was just all lawn. There was nothing, lawn and a few rose bushes.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, and
What it's become.
the first thing I did down the bottom there, which I'm redoing now, was a wildlife pond, which was absolutely full of frogs and dragonflies. But since in the last year, I've created a wildflower meadow down here. So we've got cornflowers and corn marigolds, and so that'll come back year on year now. I created this pond that was a bit of a lockdown project. That's over 1 metre deep, that pond there, but a lot of the plants just come in and self-seed, and I'm quite happy for them to be here. But it's predominantly to attract wildlife. I have mason bee hotel over there, where we've had lots of mason bees come, which you basically drill holes in the wood, and they come and lay their eggs, and then put some pollen in with it, and then seal it up with mud, so you can tell which ones are being used, because all these little holes are sealed up. So it's and as you can see, there's lots of birds and things flitting about. It's but it's a constantly evolving thing. But fortunately, I have a neighbour who's very similar minded as well, so they're letting their garden go a little wild as well. But and I have nest boxes everywhere, and there's one up there, and that was I created them when the church next door was converted. The old organ nobody wanted it. They tried to find a home for it, but it was in such a bad condition that they couldn't. So I took some of the organ pipes and turned them into nest boxes. You know, those square organ pipes. So and that gets used every year. And as you sit here, the birds are in and out, all, you know, feeding the chicks and everything. It's
Wow.
yeah, but things are starting to turn now. The Virginia creeper's going bright red there. It's absolutely beautiful.
So when did you first become interested in like nature and birds, for example? Like, you know, you do love birds.
Yes. Well, I mean, I grew up surrounded by nature. Where we, as I've mentioned earlier, where we lived was right on the urban edge. It was almost semi-rural where we lived, and like you would be conscious of the cycle of the year, because the farmer would come and cut his hayfield, and then the houses would be inundated with field mice and shrews. So you would see all this wildlife escaping from the bay. Well, it wasn't so much a baler back then. Actually, it was the pace of life was a lot slower. But I used to go out for walks. I've always had dogs. I used to go out for walks with the dogs, and we had what was an isolation hospital. It was built as an isolation hospital for tuberculosis, for people recovering from tuberculosis, which was very close to where I lived. But I used to go there, and it was fenced. It had a high wooden fence, and I would pick the dog up, drop the dog over the fence, and then wander around the bushes and the shrubbery and around the perimeter of this. And I was just fascinated, and I still am fascinated by birds and birds' eggs. Birds' eggs they're the most perfect thing in nature, and they're beautiful. And I have to admit, this was back in the 60s, where it wasn't frowned upon as much. I used to collect birds' eggs. I would never take a full clutch. It was always I would only take one, but that didn't last long as a hobby, because I realised that there was a living thing growing inside the egg, and I desperately didn't want to destroy it. And from there on, I mean, this was from the age of 5, 6, 7. I was out in the countryside watching birds. You could see, you know, a kestrel nesting up in a pylon, and and I would just think, I'd love to go up and just have a look and just see the eggs. I'm sorry, I've just spotted there's a tree sparrow. They are very, very rare. Yeah.
The one in the cage in there?
No, the one sat on the very top. It looks like a house sparrow, but it's not. It's a tree sparrow.
Is that because of the back? It looks more like bark.
They're slightly smaller than a house sparrow, and they have a completely chocolate head and those two little black dots on its cheeks. I haven't seen one for a little while, but anyway, I've
that just shows your interest, doesn't it?
Yeah. So it's just being close to the countryside and seeing the birds coming in all the time. You know, and even where I was living, we would see deer on a regular basis because we were surrounded by fields. And you know, a lot of the pitmen, a lot of these pit villages that grew up in the northeast where people were mining coal were in pockets of countryside. So you know, you had a strange juxtaposition of industry, you know, and dirt, and then you had this beautiful countryside around, you know. And ours was very much like that, you know. We had the incline, we had the old pit, the pit heap, and interestingly there was they put a sign up in which said, you know, this pit heap to be landscaped in the near future. And somebody, because it went on for so long, somebody scraped the letters off to make it far future. It eventually was landscape, but I think it was to the detriment of nature, because sometimes the industrial landscape can be once it's been reclaimed by nature can be better for nature than what people see as an attractive landscape.
Interesting. Yeah, I find it interesting that you just know everything when it comes to trees, mushrooms, birds. When we went on the walk, I thought, how did you actually learn this? Was it from your parents, or did you get a book?
No, I've had books on birds and plants and animals from an early age. I actually have it's the Reader's Digest AA. They published the book of British birds, and I've had that since I was 6 years old. And I mean that, so it's beautifully illustrated. So you see the birds, and you want to learn more about them. Yeah. You want to know. It's not
like you can identify any bird.
Yeah, well, I probably could.
Do you think it's important to have passions like this?
Yes.
I think you've got a fair amount of passions, actually, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah. Probably too many, and probably I need to refine one or two of them, so I'm good at them rather than being a jack of all trades.
Right. Jack of all trades, master of none. That's the phrase, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the phrase.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yes.
Another passion: motorbikes.
Oh, yes.
When I was young, you always had these amazing motorbikes. And actually, I remember my mom trying to really dissuade me from them completely. Uh-huh. But I have always liked motorbikes. So my first question is, when did your love of bikes begin?
I have photographs of me sat on my dad's motorbike.
You have a photograph here?
I have got the photo.
Hopefully we'll show that with your permission.
As a baby, sat on his BSA Golden Flash 650. So I've always been around motorbikes as a very young child. And then when I started work as an apprentice, I needed a form of transport. So at the age of 16, I got a moped, and from there it just grew and grew, and it's never left me. And it's a bit of a counterculture as well.
What do you mean by that?
Well, in as much as it was motorbikes, and you dressed in a certain way. You were identified as a certain type.
Do you mean like they have the kind of mods and rockers era?
It was a bit like that, but obviously that had moved on. The mods and rockers. Funnily enough, our music tastes, the bikers as we were, motorcyclists, we called ourselves bikers. The music came from bands such as The Who. It grew out of that, who were very much a mod band.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is, because the original rockers were into the old rock and roll, whereas the bikers of the late 60s and 70s were very much into rock music, as in sort of, Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, and which had all grown out of the mod culture. Like The Who, the Kinks, and people like that were very much mod bands.
I'll have to put an explanation of mods and rockers. There's quite a lot to say, and I'll show some pictures. Oh, what was that?
It's just things falling off the roof.
Goodness. So my next question was, do you remember your very first bike? But I think you've kind of said it. It was the moped.
It was a Yamaha FS1E.
So my next question is, what's the best trip you've ever done on a motorbike?
Right. Well, I've got this. There are two. In 1976, when I was an apprentice at Parsons in Newcastle, I had an old BSA 250 C15 model, and one of my work friends, fellow apprentice, and another group of us, they went. At that age, we were still 16, some were turning 17, but we all had bikes, apart from one lad who was slightly older than everybody else, and he had a Hillman Imp. And we went down to the Reading Festival, and we rode down on this BSA 250, which probably, with two people on, probably managed about 60 miles an hour. Goodness. And the first night we got to as far as the Black Cat roundabout at Bedford, and had to sleep on the garage forecourt underneath the bike, only to be woken by a policeman in the early hours of the morning wanting to know what the hell we were doing. So we explained, and we just let us go back to sleep. So that was a grand trip, it was 300 miles on this old 250, and it was the first time I'd ever been.
300 miles?
300 miles there, 300 miles back.
Yeah. That's just crazy.
Yeah, and then
and it's funny because, you know, sleeping on the side of a road doesn't sound that fun, but that's a great memory for you.
It's absolutely fantastic. And it was the that summer was particularly hot and dry.
Okay.
In 1976, we had a massive heat wave, and it lasted until the journey home. The August bank holiday weekend, the heavens opened, and we got absolutely soaked round about Doncaster.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was an experience. The exhaust, the silencer broke on the bike and fell off on the way down. And we had to. It was cigar shaped and it had a tube at either end, and we had to turn it round and stick it on the other way. But John Smith. I mean, believe it or not, that was his name, John Smith. On the back, had to keep kicking it back on because it kept sliding off. So his foot was really bruised when we got there.
Wow. Did you switch, like one person riding?
No. Although it was my bike, so I rode it. And then,
wow. And what was the other trip?
The other trip was 2016. We went, the group of us, 8 of us, went to the Picos in Spain. First time I'd ridden abroad.
Was that the red?
On the big touring bike. We went.
8 of you.
8 of us all together. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds so much fun. How long were you there for?
We're about 8 days. I think we were. Stopped in Gloucester on the first night, then we got down to Plymouth and got the ferry across to Bilbao. From Bilbao into the Picos. Which was great because there was some wonderful birds there as well. Griffin vultures.
Wow.
They're like huge aeroplanes when they come over. They're massive. And tiny little bird called an alpine accenter, which I never thought I would ever see. They're a relative of our little common hedge sparrow. Just slightly differently coloured, and black redstarts as well. You sat in a cafe in a village called Potes, which was right up in the mountains, and there's black redstarts hopping around your feet. Well, in this country, they would cause a stir if you ever saw them, you know. Just there. There they are. This part was my original garage, which me and my dad built in 1998 or 99 when I first moved in, and to accommodate my bikes. And then since then, I built a little canopy to stop the rain getting in, and then I kind of filled that in, and I got some pallet wood from wooden pallets off a friend, and I lined the inside with it, so I've got it insulated and all the rest of it. And then somebody gave me a TV, and behind here I have there's a church pew from the church, what was the chapel next door, and slowly and surely I'm getting there. I'm gonna cut the door in half so it opens in 2 rather than the one big heavy door. But, so I have me heaters on and everything, and every spring I pull this little bit out of here, which when it comes out, it allows the swallows to fly in if they ever do. I'm trying to get them to breed in here, hence I've got the false nest up there. But you know, it might happen at some point.
And can we see the bikes?
You can indeed. I'll just point out this was bought by my stepdaughter for me, but it's obviously off Temu. It's some of the lines from the Bladen races, but Hawaii was spelt incorrectly on it. It was spelt the Mackham way. I had to
what does that mean?
It means come on. Oh, it's one of those expressions that can mean a myriad of things. So here this is the Triumph Speed Triple 900. So I've had this bike for nearly 30 years now, and I absolutely adore it. It's wonderful. But I've had to lower the footrest. The original footrest position was there, but because of my aged knees, I've had to lower it down to make it rideable again. But this is the other one I went to France and Spain. but it's a big old bus. If it ever starts to fall over, you can never catch it.
And is this like your workshop area?
This was. I built the bench. I've got my drill, vice. These are all some of the tools I made when I was an apprentice.
Hang on, even that's Triumph.
Oh no, I just Triumph stickers everywhere. I'm kind of obsessed. Oh yeah, the polisher. Yeah. That has to. I have an extract fan as well for the dust. Yeah.
How long have you had the red Triumph for then?
2016. So it's that's nearly 10 years now.
Did you buy it specifically for that European trip?
I did. I had to. There was no way I could have done the whole trip on that. Yeah. Although I would now. I could now, but yeah.
Wow. Another thing that you were into is horse riding.
Indeed.
So I want to know what got you into that. How did you start?
Yeah. Well, I remember, sort of when my sister and me were sort of 6 or 7 years old. We holidayed up the Northumberland coast at a place called Amble, and I remember we ended up going out on a pony trek there, and I found that quite enjoyable, but it always stuck in my mind. It wasn't the thing that got me into it, but I remember as a small child it being really exciting, being high up on a horse's back and all the rest of it.
Okay, so you're already interested, and in a way, it's similar to riding a bike.
It is very similar to riding a bike. The
feel,
the balance. If you move to one side or another on a motorbike, that's what essentially what moves it about. You don't steer it except if at very low speed. And the same with a horse. And a horse, if you subtly shift your weight, it will go in that direction.
Wow.
But how I really got it, my ex-wife Janet, she was going trekking at a place just in the north of Newcastle, and eventually she decided she'd like her own horse, and so her and her mother got like a small, I can't remember what kind of horse it was now, but they had their own horse, which we kept it in a livery yard.
It's going to be a difficult word. Please have a look at the screen.
And after that, they decided to get what's normally known as a family hack, which is just a horse that everyone can ride. But the horse that we bought was incredibly strong. She was an Irish draft horse crossed with a thoroughbred, and the colour was known as flea-bitten grey, which is
flea-bitten grey. What a great way to describe a colour.
She was essentially white with flecks of dark grey and black, and it was a common crossbreed that farmers used, because what they could do with an Irish draft was they could work the horse during the week, and then it could be used to go to church on a Sunday. It would it was a big horse, but she was fantastic. But my ex-wife and her mother couldn't actually handle her, so I ended up riding. And before I knew it, somebody had entered me in a competition up in Northumberland, which was known as it's called team chasing, and which is a team of 4 people, 4 riders over fixed jumps, walls and ditches and things like that around the course, and the first 3 over the finish line gave you your finish time, so you could afford to lose 1 rider on the way around. But it was so exhilarating.
I bet. I mean, looking at the photos that you have, we have some photos I'll show you. It looks incredible.
It's such a buzz.
And you said you have to trust the horse.
Oh, you have to trust the horse.
You said something like either, was it through?
In, over or through.
In, over or through. Those are your options.
Into the jump, over the jump or through it. Just make sure you're on the other side. And this is the thing, and it works with motorbikes as well, is you look where you're going. Don't look at the hazard. I don't know whether it applies to cars as well, but it's all about hazard perception, and the hazard fixation is a known thing, where if you're going to hit something and you look at it, you will hit it. And it saved me on one or two occasions on the motorbike, where you've gone into a corner and you've realised you've gone in too fast, and you've got a tree or you've got a sign or something. Do not look at that sign. Look at the road. They talk about a vanishing point, where the two sides of the road meet. Yeah. Always keep your eye on that, and then you'll be safe.
Yeah. They teach that in like defensive driving courses, don't they? Yeah.
But it's incredibly important on a motorbike, because if you get it wrong, you can end up in it.
I mean, it's risky business, or it can be. All right, my next topic for you, I've put real talk, Northumberland history and rivalries.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So we're going to learn about Northumberland and Northumbria. Mm-hmm. Sometimes, you talk about Northumbria.
Yeah.
You say Northumbrian a lot. Mm-hmm. The only thing I've really heard about obviously there's the history of the Kingdom of Northumbria. Yeah. But I know, University of Northumbria. Yeah. I think they say Northumbrian police, don't they?
Yes, Northumbria Constabulary.
But is Northumbria a place now?
No, right. No, not any longer. It is Northumberland. Northumbria was the old land north of the Humber.
It's a huge area of land. Yeah. I'll show you on a photo, on an image now, how far it stretched. You said it stretched all the way
from the Humber all the way to the Forth, which is in Scotland, and then right across to the west as well. It was covered most of what is northern England and southern Scotland at one time.
Oh God, I haven't had breakfast. My stomach is rumbling, everyone. So Northumberland, I'm going to use the word Northumberland, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Northumberland is such a historic county. What makes it special to you?
There again, it's its history, and and not only that, what it's actually given to the world at large as well. A lot of the modern inventions came out of Northumberland and Newcastle and the northeast of England, to be fair. Right. The modern railways were given birth in the north of England. At the first passenger railway, which was 200 years ago this weekend, opened at Stockton and Darlington, but the engineer who created it was George Stephenson, who was born not 3-4 miles from here in Wylam. He perfected, he didn't invent, but he perfected the steam engine.
I think with you, it's interesting that you know a lot about your local landscape and your local history. More than anyone, probably. Well, have you met anyone that knows as much as you?
There was a guy who lived in the woods just over there, Ivan Seymour. He owned all the land around here, I think including the Dean just there. Wow. And he wrote a history of Mickley, where we are now, and Mount Pleasant, which is really interesting. So but there again,
that's real local. That's
local history. That is, yes, very much so. Okay. And you just find out snippets as well from people who've lived here longer than I have. For instance, just over to the left of us here, there's a little piece of woodland which used to be open, but during the Second World War it was used to store tanks.
Wow.
Fascinating. I never knew.
What do people come to see when they come to this region?
Like
we've got, obviously...
Well, there's more castles in Northumberland than any other English county.
Wow.
We have some of the most extraordinary coastline. And the thing you'll find with it is you go there and there's no one there.
That's crazy, isn't it? Why is there no one there?
Well, I don't know. Do people get the impression that the northeast is industrialised still?
I think so, maybe.
But it never was. Once you step outside sort of the southeast corner of Northumberland, you're into open countryside, which is sparsely populated.
Yeah.
We have the Roman Wall, which runs from Newcastle to
Hadrian's Wall, the famous Hadrian's Wall.
Hadrian's Wall, which we can, as we're sat here, I can point the course of it out to you.
Amazing. And Sycamore Gap.
Sycamore Gap, yeah, well.
Yeah, what happened to that?
Some lunatics came one night and decided to cut the tree down, which was very famous because it was made famous in the film with Kevin Costner, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yeah.
Somehow he managed to land on the south coast, and then all of a sudden he was stood in the middle of Northumberland underneath a sycamore tree that's been there for nearly 200 years.
Is there anywhere you would recommend people to go that isn't the obvious? You know, like Hadrian's Wall and, what was the Sycamore Gap?
Bamburgh Castle, obviously. There's Alnwick Castle as well, which seems, Bamburgh is spectacular, obviously, because it's on a rocky outcrop, right on the coast, and it's been used as a backdrop in so many films.
Right.
But Alnwick, there again, Alnwick's been used quite well. It's part of the Harry Potter series. Yeah. The original Quidditch match was filmed at Alnwick Castle.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and Durham Cathedral as well. So, if I'm going to talk about Northumberland, I feel I have to include Durham as well, as it was part of the old kingdom of Bernicia. Bernicia was the northern half of the Northumbrian kingdom, which stretched from the River Tees, which was the southern border of Durham, right through the Wear, the Tyne, up, let's just say to its present position, which is Berwick upon Tweed, which, and there again, as Berwick is a lovely place to visit. That has a lot of history. It has some fascinating Tudor battlements, which are still intact and perfect. And it's but it's a strange place because it's changed hands between the Scots and the English 13 times. It was vitally important to the Scottish crown. Sorry, I'm waving hands.
Sorry, no, it's your leg hitting against it.
It was vitally important to the Scottish crown because it was the main port for exporting anything from Scotland, which is why the English wanted it, to prevent the Scots and obviously then bleed them dry, and then what happened in the end, Union of the Crowns and all the rest of it. Yeah. But people tend not to come further inland. We get a lot of visitors from all over the world now walking the wall route. There is an official route, and there's a visitor centre, the Sill, which is halfway along Vindolanda, which is a Roman fort that's been excavated for about 20 years now, and the finds that come out of there, clothing, shoes, all in perfect condition. Incredible. And
a lot of ancient Roman burials right there.
Yeah. The fact, in Newcastle, on the route of the wall, when they were doing some excavations, they unearthed a Roman burial ground. And if you go to Wall's End, you can actually see the original fort that's at the end of the wall. Can you? Yeah, but it's not. There's no height to it. It's all just the foundations marked out. But they have a viewing platform. A viewing platform doesn't do it justice. They have a building, a tower where you can go up and look down on it. But this was, what a contrast. This was in the shadow of Swanhunter's shipyard. So back in the day, there's fantastic shots of rows of terrace houses, and then at the end of it you have this huge bow of the ship being built, which just towers over the whole street. But underneath all of that was the actual Roman fort that denoted the end of the Roman wall. It never went to the sea. It went to a curve in the river. It's and they've rebuilt part of the wall there as well, just to give you an impression, because it was 30 feet high in places. And
I read that it was very multicultural. You had soldiers coming from Syria, from all parts of Europe, all working together on the wall. Yeah, I find that really interesting. I would have loved to just kind of seen what that was like at the time.
Well, this is very true. Yeah, I mean, there was a lot from Eastern Europe, Romania, and those kind of places, because very like the British Empire, the Roman Empire couldn't run from native Romans on their own. They
Just huge, wasn't it? Though
they needed legions from the countries that they then occupied, pretty much as the British did. If you look at the Raj in India, British India, right. You had Punjabi regiments, and which actually they fought alongside us in the Second World War, which they don't get the credit for. But that's another story. Yeah.
So the other day you told me about the history of what's called the border reivers, and I believe the reivers, it comes from like raiders.
Yeah.
Is that right?
There again, it's an Old Norse word. To reave means to go and steal. So these.
So you told me that a long time ago. I don't know when it started, but it was almost like the Wild West.
Yeah.
In a sense.
But from the 1300s right up until the Union of the Crowns, which put paid to the reivers.
When's that? 1600?
No, it's 17 something or other, wasn't it? The Union. Oh no, it was 16. It was James I of England, James VI of Scotland. He wanted to rechristen this part of the world as the Middle Shires.
Oh.
Yeah, he didn't like the word border. He wanted to do away with the border. To the reivers, the border never existed anyway.
Right.
It was.
But it's interesting because I forgot what I was going to say. It's interesting because you said a lot of the farmhouses were fortified, and
yes, yeah.
And they were essentially forts. They had to
be because you had these families, clans, essentially, very much, like on the in the mould of the Scottish Highland clans. These were very much lowland people, but on both sides of the border, they would come and steal from you. So you had to try and secure your property somehow. So you have all these. You have a fortified farmhouse was known as a bassel. But you also had another form of defence, which was a peel tower, which they just all had very small openings or some sort of means of getting in and out that you could withdraw to prevent the reivers coming and taking your possessions, basically, because this is what they did.
Yeah.
On the Scots side. What is the Scottish side now? The Grahams and over in the west used to steal the cattle and take it to an area just outside Moffat over the border called the Devil's Beef Tub, which is a hollow in the hillside where like a valley, but a closed valley. So they used to take all the stolen cattle from there, and but you were allowed to chase them legally hot foot.
Right. Yeah.
After they'd been stolen, the cattle had been stolen. You were allowed to go to attack them back and take your cattle back again. It was a just absolutely crazy time. You find the town of Hexham, which is 10 miles to the west of us here, had heavy fortification, and a lot of the reivers who were then arrested were taken to Hexham and jailed there, and sometimes executed as well.
Wow. Do you think the history of the reivers still shapes the character of people in the northeast today, or like what effect has it had? Do you think long term? Like I don't know. We were talking yesterday about Northumberland is like the least populated county. Well, it's in England.
The legacy of the reivers, because this part of the country was never allowed to develop in the way that places that had were more stable were allowed to. So settlements couldn't develop and grow because they were in constant fear of things being stolen.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a farmer.
No. Even in where we are now, the Tyne Valley, the reivers would often come down and take your sheep and cattle, and off they would go. But you find that, as I mentioned yesterday, a lot of the family names are still there. The Charltons, the Liddles, Riddles, Ridley, Fenwick, Milburn. I mean, all of these names were clan names back in the day, and they would affiliate with each other or fall out. And as I did say, the first man on the moon was
Right, Armstrong is also
Armstrong is also a Reaver name.
You know what I just thought? That would be an amazing Netflix show. Don't you think?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think, wow. Hey, I think I'm onto something. I might have to edit this bit out. Create a story.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. All right, now I just want to talk a little bit about Newcastle Pride, because
Geordie Pride.
Did you say Geordie Pride?
Geordie Pride.
So like, what does it mean to you? Why is it important?
That sense of identity, a sense of history, and knowing that history makes you who you are at the end of the day, I believe.
I think a lot of young Geordies also appreciate and understand the history of it all.
I don't think they do. I think unfortunately, that side of thing it's starting to disappear because of access to media, the gradual and sometimes not so gradual Americanization of British culture. Right. It's creeping into what I would say is a Geordie identity.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, you get programs like Geordie Shore, and things like that, and then I know exactly.
I don't think I'll shine.
And it's not typical of what we are or who we are at all. But there was one, I think I heard it quoted one time that somebody said on that program, "You're not a proper Geordie if you haven't got a tan and white teeth." I thought, please. I mean, that's got nothing to do with it.
But people in Essex say the same thing, don't they?
They do.
Literally, tan and white teeth.
But this is it. But this is, society is becoming totally homogenized. You're losing the individuality. It's interesting when you see people commenting who've come over from, say the States. They still recognise that you can travel 2 or 3 miles up the road and you find a completely different accent.
Yeah.
And things I always think about the word or how people would describe bread.
Yeah.
In different years. So you have balm cakes, and you have
bread cake, bap, cob.
And up here.
What do you say?
We have a stotty.
You call it a stotty?
Stotty cake.
Stotty cake. I've never heard of that.
Have you not?
No.
Wonderful stotty cake. Or if it's purely just an ordinary bread bun, it will be a bread bun. That's what I would call
bread bun.
But we have our own stotty cake, which is it's an unleavened bread, and it got its name from being thrown down, but that is called stotting. You stot it off the ground, or stot it off the where you're baking it, and then the baker would always put a thumbprint in it. So you have a round bread, with a dimple in.
So it's a bit different to like a bread bun. Or bread
it's
cake.
it's not as light. It's quite dense.
Okay, so it's slightly different.
But it's
it's interesting. There's so many names.
Yeah, well, this is it.
And I realised I used the word bap.
Yeah.
And I said, and I went to the shop and I said, in Sheffield, I'll have a bap, whatever. And she said, "Oh, you want a bread cake?" And I said, "Well, hang on, why do I say bap?" And I realised it's from my mum from Leicester.
Yes, it is. It's very much a Leicester thing. If you go over to the northwest, it's a balm.
Oh, sorry. In the UK, they call it cobs as well.
Cobs.
I don't know anymore. Yeah, balm cakes. Yeah.
Balm cake.
Yeah, exactly. Balm cakes. Yeah. That's a really interesting thing about British culture, I think.
But we got flying over there. Military helicopters flying together. You see, 2 of them just on the horizon there. Just to go back on to the stotty cake, one of the best things you can have in the world is a ham and peas pudding stotty.
Ham and peas pudding stotty.
Yeah.
Where can you buy that?
Local butchers will sell them.
Oh,
but the peas pudding is made from split lentils and then soaked in the juices from boiling a ham. So sometimes you get pieces of ham in, and if you get it warm, It's absolute nectar. Lorraine hates it. Lorraine absolutely detests peas pudding, but it's absolutely gorgeous. Ham and peas pudding, stotty, or a Savoy dip. That's another good one, actually.
Goodness me.
Warm peas pudding.
Do you think Newcastle has changed a lot since you were younger?
Oh Christ, yes.
In what ways, briefly? Like, what?
I mean, back when I grew up, Newcastle was a dirty, depressed city. All the buildings were black.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, when you were looking around there yesterday, and it's all the buildings have been cleaned. Grey Street was just black. Yeah, just from the soot from fires and things like that. And it changed from being a major industrial centre into a more high-tech centre, And
especially nowadays, it's like a university city.
It is very much so now. I mean, the amount of student accommodation that's been built. I pointed out to you that the Newcastle brewery's gone now, where the brew the famous Newcastle Brown Ale. That's all gone. That's all
supposedly called the Dog, but do people call it that?
Bottle of Dog.
Bottle of Dog.
Aye, it comes from when the man of the house would say, "I'm just off to walk the dog, pet," and so you went for a bottle of Dog.
Yeah, that's very fun. It's
Journey into Space, it used to be called as well.
Oh, really?
Because it sent people wappy.
If you look back at everything, what do you think has shaped you the most as a person? A bit of a deeper question.
Yeah, it is a deeper question. Obviously, you're shaped by your parents. A lot of that.
Your love for bikes must have been influenced from your dad.
My dad rode bikes. In fact, my dad rode some of my bikes when he was younger. He's 92 now, so he can't. But just I don't know. Where I grew up, with countryside all around, it's bound to change it. And I've always had that love for the countryside, and I find it incredibly not depressing, but it is sad the way we're destroying our countryside at the moment. There's a
What's happening?
Well,
all the new builds.
Well, it's not so much building on it; it's the intensification of farming, the grubbing out of hedgerows, and the birds and wildlife has just disappeared. People, you can look here now, and you can look out there, and it looks green, but it's a desert.
Interesting, because it's not they're not letting it be wild.
No,
is that why
the land doesn't get a chance to rest? Whereas up until the 70s, you would follow it. The farmers followed a certain way of farming, which was you would plant in the spring, you would sow in the autumn, and the field would rest over the winter. But now you go straight from the harvest. It's ploughed immediately, and then it's drilled in the autumn, and you have a winter wheat crop starts to grow.
That must affect the soil.
Of course it does.
We've been walking around. You've planted some trees. There's an area down there which isn't your garden that you've tried to fix, where it's kind of I don't want to use the word a pond. It wasn't a pond. What was it?
It was a pond.
Oh, it was a pond. Okay, and it kind of
quite a substantial pond. It had ducks on it.
Oh, well, there you go. And you've been trying to fix that. You fixed the gate down there. Just where normal. I mean, usually people would expect like, oh, when's the council going to come and do it? And you said, oh, well, it's civic pride.
Yeah.
So what does civic pride mean to you, and why do you think it matters for a community?
It matters greatly because it shows to others and people from outside your community that you care about where you live. Litter is a big thing. I spend most of my dog walks picking litter up.
That's awful.
And it is increasing.
Is it?
Oh God, without a doubt, yeah. Basically, since we've had a McDonald's and a Greg's open up where you saw them the other day, it would appear that most people finish their meals just as they come up our lane, and nobody has that pride. They throw it out the window. But I want to show that I have pride in where I live. But I will pick that up and then dispose of it. But I shouldn't have to. People should be able to do that themselves. Yeah. But sometimes, we've become over-reliant on saying, oh, well, that's the council's responsibility. And sometimes it should be your own responsibility. And that should make you feel proud. If there is something that in your community that is broken, that you can fix it. It doesn't have to be an expensive thing. It's just a demonstration of how you feel about the way you live.
Yeah. I really like this area. It's got that kind of hamlet vibe. It's not technically a hamlet, is it?
No.
This village. Where are we now? What Mickley is it?
This area is West Mickley.
West Mickley, and that's the parish of something.
Well, it's part of the town of Prudder.
Yeah, but what I wanted to say was the area's got kind of a real village vibe in that when we went for a walk, you kind of knew everyone, you waved to everyone, people, and you don't get that very much in a lot of places now.
No,
where you can walk and say hi to everyone. Yeah, it's kind of like it's a thing of the past. People think of it.
Well, it isn't, because
but I want to get that back.
Yes, it would be lovely if it was always like that. But sometimes especially when you move into towns, there are just too many people.
Yeah.
And
people don't want to know their neighbours.
No, people don't trust their neighbours. Whereas we rely on our neighbours round here.
You were helping out with, you had the dog the other day, just helping out a neighbour.
That's right. And Sarah, round the corner, she is... I don't want to use the word disabled because she's an awesome character. She's she had a mountain bike accident years ago when she was in France, and she hadn't realised at the time it had ruptured a blood vessel, and later she had a stroke. And but she walks. She walks with a limp. She obviously, you can see she's obviously disabled, but she rides a horse, she drives, she's got a job. But when it comes to things around the house, she's a little bit useless at it. So, she knows she can call on me and I'll go around and do things, various tasks for her. If a boiler breaks or something, I've gone around and sorted her out.
I think you're very much also the generation of DIY. You can fix anything.
But there again, that comes from my dad, my father. Yeah. He's always shown me how to do things. I
love that.
How to make things. It's a great art it might happen all the world over, but I always think of it as a British thing of fettling. Making things work, making things fit. You can always find a solution around something.
Interesting. All right, we're coming to the end of the podcast episode now, and I just have we always end with challenge questions.
All right, okay.
So my first challenge question is: if you could keep one passion forever, so we got birds, bikes, guitar, history, but had to give up the others, which would you choose? So you're only allowed to keep one passion.
Birds.
That was very quick. Okay, that shows how much you like them. I've put this title as Geordie Pride. What's the one thing you tell people from outside Newcastle about why this place is special? One thing you tell people.
The people. You'll find Geordie people, when anybody comes to our region, we'll want to know where you're from, what you do, what your background is, but not to try and isolate you from us. We'll try to find things in common. And I think that's very much in the Geordie psyche. They want to know where you're from. They want to know about you. And people you see visitors in Newcastle looking lost, and people will walk up and say, "Can I help you? Are you looking for something?" And we're happy to show people what our area's about, but we want to know about you.
Wow, well. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
And the last question for you, feel free to think about it for a while if you want. It's I've called it Life in One Sentence. If you could sum up your life lessons so far in one sentence, what would it be?
Be kind to people. Be kind. Be kind on the way up, because you're always going to meet those people on the way back down. Yeah. I just be kind.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah. I could even say, try to see the good in everyone.
Yeah.
Maybe parents have always done that, and I've always found it slightly irritating, but I do exactly the same myself.
Yeah.
Wow. And it's what I was saying about that Geordie thing as well. I know it's longer than one sentence, but I just feel it's be kind to everybody. You find out about people before you decide whether you like them or not. You know, there's too much in this life where people try to highlight the differences, try to highlight things that you don't have in common. Find the commonalities, and that's when you'll find friends.
I like that. Find the commonalities.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you for doing this interview. Absolutely fascinating.
Yeah.
Everyone, if you would like to get the transcript, flashcards, vocabulary, and all the help, please see the link in the description. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.